With market volatility hitting hard in the second quarter of 2022, the tech sector in the U.S. has witnessed funding slowdowns, layoffs, and reduced compensations. The NASDAQ 100 index, for instance, in the United States is down about 29% year to date. Outside the U.S., many are beginning to ponder if tech can solve Africa's long-aged unemployment challenges and what impact this slowdown may have on jobs in Africa's tech space. We're joined now by the CEO of the African Talent Company, TATC, Hilda Kragha. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So does this U.S. tech slowdown spread to Africa's tech space and impact jobs in any way, in your view?
Good morning. Yes, it does. So I would say it's maybe multidimensional. First of all, in terms of actual direct jobs in the tech sector, we've already begun to see a decline. On our platforms alone in Nigeria, last year, same period, so January to May 2021, we had about 12,000 listings in tech. This year, it's been around 600. So that's almost like a 46% decline already, right? But more importantly, we're beginning to see startups run out of funding. I think there's been news about like a big food tech company in Kenya that shut down yesterday because they couldn't raise. That creates that generates unemployment. We're also seeing a slowdown in companies hiring, right? Which kind of speaks to what I just discussed on our platforms. I think the bigger thing is around the fact that a lot of young Nigerians during the pandemic began to work remotely with businesses in the US. So just getting onto Upwork or finding a gig remotely to earn dollars. If there's a slowdown in that market, this remote gig sector that had started to pick up in Nigeria is also, and across Africa, is also going to be affected.
How many jobs, can we quantify how many jobs tech contributes to Africa's labor market?
It'd be hard. I think we've heard numbers as big as 3 million. We hear things like in fintech in Nigeria, it's 200,000 jobs. But there's an entire value chain of tech, and it's hard to say where it starts and where it stops, right? If you're talking about fintech, will you count the field sales agents running around in markets trying to onboard people? We need to count the logistics services as well. I think it's very hard to put a hard number on it, but the one thing you can say is that it's one of the biggest contributors in the last decade that has come online to create employment for young people.
All right, and which sectors or roles are in most demand in Africa, and how can we harness those better?
So the funny thing, and this is probably something controversial from my perspective, it's really not tech. If you look at least just based off data on our platforms, but also looking at the way our economies are structured, one, the informal sector remains the largest employer of labor, right? Second of all, the biggest opportunities and the biggest gaps remain in our basics. We find, yes, there's a gap, there's a digital skills gap, you might say, but there's also a skills gap for teachers, especially nursery school teachers, primary school teachers, for healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, for agri specialists, right? So you find that even though tech is coming and it is stimulating a lot in the market, when it comes to sheer opportunity and where jobs are concentrated, it still remains in solving the basic problems of the continent: education, food, and healthcare.
Oh, okay. So education, food, healthcare. So as far as opportunities, then that's where we would point to. I was going to ask you about lack of power in much of the continents, for instance. Wouldn't that be another opportunity? So where are the opportunities then?
So that is an opportunity to think about it. And that's why people like, MCOP are able to raise a lot of funds on the back of renewable energy and things like that. The opportunities remain, well, if you think about what it takes to get a lot of young Africans into work, it's an education game, it's an upskilling game. If you think about what it takes to keep the society productive and in jobs, showing up and contribute to the economy, it's healthcare. People need to be healthy. They need to know they can go to a doctor, to a nurse, and get the right treatment. Young children under 5 need to survive. If you think about what we consume every single day, what's driving our markets, what's driving everything, it's food. So power, definitely, there's a huge opportunity there because a lot of this is powered by electricity. Can children do homework? Are able to run tests at the hospital? Can we preserve our food? Can we drive transportation and storage and etc.? So power definitely is a sector that needs to be fixed. And I'd probably put it close to the basics of society that present a huge opportunity.
So what roles do you think will be worse hit should this tech downturn persist?
I would say it's the roles that it's especially in tech, it's the non-tech roles in tech companies. What do I mean? If you think about what the big tech companies in the US have done, Amazon, Facebook, they've already outsourced their customer service, right? It's happening in Africa, it's happening in Asia. That's why BPO as an industry exists, right? The more specialist your role, the higher your chance is of preserving it. But for roles that are pretty much vanilla and can be done anywhere, we'll begin to see those being outsourced or contracted out, and I think they'll be the first ones to be cut off. If any organization is thinking about, trimming down their staff size, naturally they'll keep the specialists that they really need to perform, and the things that can be outsourced to, either cheaper locations or cheaper service providers because they're pretty much a vanilla product like customer service or even as Salesforce, those will be shipped out.
And so as far as, I know COVID is still very much a clear and present danger, but what does Africa's post-COVID work future look like, and how do we, unlock it? Does it happen through tech?
Three things. Yeah, three things for me. Yes, definitely it happens through tech. We saw that during the pandemic. Lots of opportunities rose up. I think there was an 118% growth in tech jobs across the continent, whereas other jobs are collapsing. So the future of work post-COVID definitely includes tech. It also includes a number of things. One, I think it's increasingly hybrid. I know many people are excited about 100% remote, but given what we've just discussed around power and basic infrastructure, it might be tough. But also at the same time, young people especially, and all workers know that they've tasted the fact that you don't have to be at work every single day. So I think eventually employers and employees who want different things will come to a compromise, and that compromise will be hybrid. The second thing is we're going to see smaller sized full-time workforces. What does this mean? Previously, you try to hire a graphics designer and have them on your payroll the whole time. One of the things we've learned now is that you don't have to do that. You can hire somebody for a project and only pay for that project and reduce your overall costs while still getting the kind of output you need. So we'll move away from managing a full-time staff for everything and managing output and output by output based contracts, which could be good for job seekers because if you're not bound to an employment contract that means you must show up every day at a certain time, you can pretty much become a solopreneur and have 5 or 6 contracts running at a given time and increase your own take home. It's also good for employers because it brings down your overall cost of employment and desk costs, right? You're not paying pension for these people, probably don't have to pay healthcare, and I think it's something we'll explore, especially also because it gives people the freedom to get the best talent from anywhere globally at the best cost.
Fantastic. So great conversation. The CEO of the African Talent Company, Hilda Kragha, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.